Hello, everyone. Before I get started, this is stone. It's actually marble. It looks travertine, but it's marble. And this is just a niche. So I've posted a few of my installs of niches with porcelain and sills. So this one's stone. All right, what I do is I just get a block and I put very fine sandpaper. And I just use a little bit of Gorilla Glue just to let that stick on there. It's always good to dip that sanding block in water. It helps the abrasive. And just go all the way around the perimeter. So don't use the blade side, use the up part of that blade. And just scrape that any excess cement around the 45s on the inside pocket. And just do that all the way around, okay? So this is a scrap piece. And what I'm going to want to do is I want a good side, which is going to be my rectified. So I can do a better 45 on that. It's always good to use a rectified factory edge to do your 45s. So I'm going to take the depth of that measurement. And I believe it's 4 1/4. And then I'm going to go right to left with the measurement. It is 12, but I'm going to go 11 1/2. Okay, so I marked that. And just on the stone, I like to put an arrow on it to let me know that that's the factory edge. That's going to be my 45. Okay, so that's all cut. And what I'm going to do first is very carefully, because it's stone, it's more fragile than porcelain. And just sneak it in there. And I'm going to want to give a mark on the right and left so I can do a sharp 45 on that. Just like that. Just so I can pass the 45s. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to 45 this stone. And there we go. And you're going to want to sandpaper just a little bit of that. I know it's factory edge, but sometimes with stone, you have a little bit of chips on the factory edge. And remember, dip your sanding block. And I need my cheaters, so. Okay, let's test that out first and make sure we're all good. And slowly take that out and we're good. So remember, always use white cement for stone, never gray. And it's in a modified cement. This here is Mapai LFT. It's meant for heavy stone. And don't go all the way to the edge when you're cementing that. Just put a little bit more on the backside and squeeze forward. And the cement will come out just a little bit. You're going to want to have a good bond on that 45. All right, this is my next day, okay? And so they want a shelf at 5 inches high. I do from the top of the shelf will be my 5-inch. And just put that on the mark. Put your level there. And just strike a line. I'm just using a scrap piece. For yourself, maybe you should use a smaller scrap piece. And what I'm going to do is just put that stone on that line and mark the bottom one. That's going to be the thickness of my shelf. And just strike another line. Okay, so on that joint, I'm sorry, on that bottom line and top line, just mark it on the back of the curdy niche. Okay, that's the same offcut from that tile. Or sorry, that stone. See how everything lines up, the grain of the stone? Just set yourself that aside. You're going to need that when you're installing your niche. Okay, just be careful when you're sliding that out. So what I do is I turn it around and I'm going to mark that joint line. Or I'm sorry, the shelf, guys. And turn it around. Remember, the bad side goes up, and mark that again. That's going to be the top. My shelf's going in that pocket, and that's going to be the bottom. Right on top of that stone. Okay. You're going to want to cut the top one, not the bottom one just yet, because the corners have a chip, and I need to eliminate those chips. So now's a good time to mark your bottom. You just want a little bit more meat on the tile so you can eliminate that the corners, the bad corners. That's my first mark. Turn it around just like that and mark the opposite. Remember, make sure you mark it right. Okay. That's not the one. That's the shelf one. That's the one you want to eliminate with the bad corners. Cut it out. Don't cut that. Save that. That's the mark of the bottom shelf, by the way. That was on the curdy board. Now that's the top one. Remember that. Put an arrow on it. And it's going to look something like that, okay? These are just dry right now. I'm just showing you an example. Just put some back butter on that so you have a good bond. I'm going to use a quarter notch trowel, but because there's a bow on my left side, I had to straighten the wall out. I'm going to add a little bit more on the left side of that niche, just so everything's equal on both sides. And I'm just squaring it up to make sure that I'm going to be right on with the outside of the niche. I'm going to want to overlap probably about a 1/4 inch on each side when I put my side stones on the right and left of the niche. And just make sure you put your level and check the bottom one on the outside of that niche. And This is just a template. So what I do is I use a scrap piece and I just mark from that back of that wall niche to the front of that opening. And I just use that mark as a template through and through. So we're equal all the way around. And that's my mark. So I'm going to keep that, that piece. Okay, and I just marked a scrap piece of stone. I'm going to cut that. Make sure you have a factory edge, okay? Just like that. That's my factory edge, okay? So my factory edge is going to go right on top of that shelf. And I'm going to mark the bottom one, not the top line. Because my shelf is going to, when I do the whole thing, the inside, that first course, my shelf's going to sit right on top. The back, the right, and the left. And turn your stone around. And you're going to cut that at the other end. The same thing. The bottom mark, okay? And just cut it, put your square and cut it flush at a 90. Mark it left, right, right, left. And that's my right one. So my left and my right. Factory edge on the outside. So it's what, 3.5? I need 2 of those. That's the left side. On a 45, the factory edge. And it's going like that. Now turn that around and mark the 45 on the inside, the top of the shelf. Just like that, because there is an angle on that shelf. So when it rains, the water will fall out. And just mud the side. And put a little bit of extra butter on the back side. I like to have it a little bit flare going inside, just to give it a little bit two-dimensional, a little bit more as an eye opener. But you can do it your way. You can just go flush. And I'm just going to use a little bit of my wedges to help me get up to that back stone and the front of that mark for the shelf. Okay, buddy. And you're going to do the same thing. And I actually like to stuff some cement in that crevice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the worst, man. So, see ya, TJ. Have a good day. Just clean up a little bit of excess cement. Always have a wet pail or a wet sponge and a pail of water with you. And I use my spacers, my 1/16, just to open up the 45. So when you grout it or epoxy, you'll have some gap there. So this is going to be my shelf. Remember, always use a good side, a refractory side. Just, you want to make sure you're over those 45s on the outside, around the perimeter of that niche. Just make sure you're flush with the wall for that shelf. and you're going to want to put a little bit of a tilt. So I use my wedges underneath. And just actually put your level on there first, and then you can put a tilt later. Make sure everything's good. Just take that out. Butter the ends and the back. Just like that. And carefully put that in there. And let it rest on the first course of stone you did. Just make sure everything's flush. So what I do is I get a little bit of cardboard and I put it at the two end of the shelf. Just apply pressure so it doesn't move on me when I start to tile the portion, the upper portion of that. And make sure you fill in the gap with some cement. And just clean everything up. At the end, when everything's grouted, this is a high gloss sealer, and I put it on the face of that, and it just brightens it up. You can use a toothpick, a small brush, or a cloth. Toothpick is actually a lot better because it's fine. So, and you're just gonna put your level on that. You're all good. And you're going to do this one. So you are going to put some wedges, guys, right underneath that shelf when you applied it, just to give it a little bit of a tip, okay? Before you put your top piece on. And remember, I put extra butter on the left side because that that wall's got a bow. So I straightened everything out. Again, I'm going to use my template. Make sure that everything's perfect. Remember that mark on that scrap piece of stone? It's all good. And I'm going to make sure that my joint is going to line up with that, that back piece. If you're off a little bit, you can use those red wedges just to pick up your back. And that helps you out. You're going to need a little bit of a gap because you're going to have to grout in there anyways, in silicone at the end. Okay, this is still the same piece of stone that I used when I put my sides in, because these are 24 by 24 stones. And remember, rectified side is always going to the front, to the top, because that's your joint. So you need two good rectifieds. If you can't, guys, just do the same thing with the sandpaper. So in this case, I have no more rectified, just the front face. And I'm going to have to use my sandpaper on the top to make it look nice and smooth for a joint. Okay. That's my rectified side. That's for the right side. And that's what I'm talking about. Just get a little bit of sandpaper to clean that up a little bit. That's a good side. And the front face is good side. So just put that on there because remember I put a tilt on my shelf. So we're going to do a little bit, just turn it around and we're going to make a mark and we're going to give it an angle a bit. I'll just show you in a second. And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you don't want to put too much of a slope on that. An eighth is good. I think a 1/4 inch is a little too much, but you could put a 1/4 inch if you want. So I'm just going to 45 that, okay? Make that angle cut first before you 45 everything. Same thing, okay, for the other side. Just like that. As you notice, I put more of 45 on my my stone for the inside. Because when you're using your grinder, you don't really get it as perfect as you can with a saw. You can, but it just takes a little bit of time. So I always use my wet saw for this. Remember, put a spacer in that gap, okay? That 45. And this is my next side. And we'll do the same thing. Usually I have a gap for my shelf, like you see on my other niches. But because this is stone, what I do at the end, sorry, there's somebody calling me. What I do at the end is I put fiber tape underneath that with Gorilla Glue just to strengthen the shelf. That's why I need to do it on all sides. The other porcelain's a lot stronger than stone, so that's why I want to make it strong. You see how I fill everything in there? You see my 45s? When everything is all grouted and said and done, what I do is I get the wet sandpaper, but not on a board, and I just kind of wrap it around and sand it nicely all the way down. Okay, so this is the other top portion of that cutout for the niche. And what I'm doing right now is I want to put 1/8 or a 1/4 inch angle on the top. So I want my top shelf to sit right on top on the inside of this pocket. That's rectified side, by the way. And just muck that up. And you see how I put more to my right or my left side because of the bow. I remember the bow. And just go back and forth till you have a good bond, until you hit the joint below it perfectly. And I'm going to use that scrap piece and make sure that I'm true and true up and top, the bottom and the top one. Remember that, guys. Check that template. Or use that template, sorry. And I'm just going to check the other side, okay? I believe, remember, it was 3.5. So this stone, I'm trying to make something that matches around the perimeter of this top, but I'm running out of stone, so I gotta have a scrap piece So very few selection I have, but I try to get something closer. So that'll be my right side, and that'll be my right and my left, sorry. Sorry, that's right. I'm supposed to be on the other one. So I'll get it right. Okay, we're going to turn that around. And remember, we're going to put an angle on the back side. So when I put my stone in there, it'll rain and fall and then right back. So if you have it straight and the steam sits up there, right? So you want the slope so the water will roll back to the back, down the shelf, and out. And I'm still using the right one. It's supposed to be the other side, but it's okay. They're the same. You just put a spacer under there. See that? There's going to be a tilt. Just cut that off. You're going to need 2 of them, by the way, okay? And 45 it. That side and the other side. That's a good factory edge. So, or in this case, just use the sandpaper and clean it up and make it look like a factory edge. And fill up the gaps and everything, all right? Between the stone and the niche. This is going to be the top, all right? Or I'm sorry, it's going to be the side. And before you put the left one up, don't do that. Wait till you put your shelf on the top. And that's going to be the top, all right? Make a depth measurement. I believe it's, I think it's 4 1/4 or 4. And just mark, because we're going to have to 45 that. So it'll get past the 45 guy, everyone. Cut that, square it up, and that angle, and that angle. Just like that. Okay. Just be very careful here, okay? Now, you can go ahead and not put the right side of that inside niche, but I just want to test it, and I want it to rest on that and the back stone. So everything is good, and I'm going to slowly take this out, all right? And then I'm going to back butter everything, but make sure you put some cement on the top there. A little tricky. There we go. Put a lot of pressure on that. I put a little too much cement in there, but it's always good to have a little bit more than not enough. And now you can put your side in. I had to take that one out again because I put way too much cement, so for that side. So just in case you're wondering. I just clean everything up. And sometimes what I do is I'll do something else and I'll wait a little bit just in case. Let the cement set up just a little bit. And then what I do is I make a little bit of adjustment if I see something out of alignment. Okay, everyone. Thank you and sorry for the long video. Have a good day.